In almost every country's military, there are those who make their arrival unannounced, those trained and designated to work deep behind enemy lines, and those who leave as quietly as they arrived. Forged from the remnants of the Soviet Spetsnaz in the fire of Russia's war, Ukraine's special forces has become a vital pillar of the country's defense, playing their role in some of the war's most decisive engagements, from Kyiv to Donbas to Kursk Oblast in Russia. Over that time, they have had to learn and adapt as the rise of the war of drones transformed what was understood to be achievable by special forces, for better or for worse. Those who serve here do not show their faces, and the stories of most of their operations never make it out to the public, for good reason. So what is the real face of Ukraine's special forces today, and how has it changed over more than 10 years of war? The Kyiv Independent gained a rare opportunity to meet top commanders in the Special Operations Forces Third Regiment, which, since the full-scale invasion, has been at work in the hottest cauldron of the war, Donetsk Oblast. This is their story.
I am the commander of the 3rd Separate Regiment of Special Operations Forces, named after Sviatoslav the Brave. Everyone knows me at the front as Bond. All my life I have been a professional serviceman. I have chosen this profession myself. My father had the same profession, so it was an obvious choice for me.
My call sign is Sich. I'm the deputy commander of the 5th Detachment of the 3rd Regiment of Special Operations Forces.
I command the Hornets unit, which we created ourselves. I started military service a very long time ago, at the age of 17. And I almost immediately joined the same military base where I serve now.
Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, as we know them today, find their origins in 2014, when Russia invaded and occupied parts of Donbas through proxy militias, taking advantage of the depleted state of the Ukrainian military at the time. Back then, some of the most competent professional soldiers left were the Spetsnaz, a successor of the Soviet Special Forces that still carry the same name in Russia today.
When I started my service, there were no special operations forces. Back then we had special military units of the Spetsnaz special forces. Since 2016, units of special operations forces started to form.
Безпосередньо полки спецназу їх перейменували в частину сил спеціальних операцій.
We began to study new tactics.
Ну, по-перше, перевчати себе, тому що ми почали вивчати нову тактику дій.
I fully agree that these tactics are much more effective than the system that we had before. Before 2016, we used old books, Soviet tactics.
It was easier back then for the command, but for the guys who worked on foot, it was much more difficult. These are two completely different types of work in terms of intensity and methods. Almost everything has changed, turned things upside down. Everything was done on foot. Now we use our hands and drone controllers.
When Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the 3rd Regiment was deployed in the country's far east, carrying out missions in and around Donetsk Oblast as Russian troops surged forward. In conditions of frantic maneuver warfare and plenty of fog of war, the unit was prepared for this exact moment.
In Donbas in 2022, we already knew the enemy was preparing something against us because intelligence showed signs of preparation for their future offensive operations, including the deployment of field hospitals, setting up logistics, and the movement of heavy vehicles. It was clear that they would move in the direction of Mariupol, because they were interested in it as a logistics hub. In the evening of February 23rd, 2022, then Commander-in-Charge of the Donetsk sector, General Sodol, asked us what we think would be the enemy's future actions.
приводу, яким чином курси дій, які ви думаєте, буде виконувати противник, в принципі,
We shared our opinions,
і повністю, я скажу так, що 90%
and I would say that 98% of it turned out to be right,
були праві з майбутніми діями противника.
because it was simply impossible to act in another way in that area. He gave us orders.
Поставив певні завдання.
I returned back to the units,
назад в підрозділ.
said that the enemy would most likely make some moves soon.
Дуже в найближчий час дії з боку противника.
So I suggested that we all pack,
Загрузити речі. І навіть якщо
and even if nothing happens, we will simply do a drill and move to other locations.
інші локації.
Even if nothing happens, it will be useful for us. We will just train. Everyone agreed with this. Then we watched a speech by, who.
Знаєте кого? Не дуже
I do not want to call him names on camera.
говорити. Я тоді
I even joked about it back then and said, well, then let's get ready. I laid down to relax for just a couple of hours. Then the head of headquarters woke me up, saying that missile strikes had been launched on Ukraine and there was no communication. I said that we know what to do. We calmly got ready. The entire unit secretly moved to other locations. I was the last one to leave the spot, checking that we left nothing behind to compromise ourselves. After that, we began to work on our own, carrying out sabotage operations
працювати, проводити засади
in the areas where the enemy began to move toward.
Почав висуватись противник.
This era can be divided into several stages. The first stage is the beginning of the full-scale war, when there was no defense line at all. That's when the Special Operations Forces were at their best, because the main task was to sow chaos in the enemy's rear. When there is no defense line, these are the best conditions to do it. This period lasted for about 2 months. Then the enemy began to dig in. Ukraine's armed forces began to build lines of defense. After that, it became much harder to cross the defense line. But the main desire, the main goal for everyone was to destroy the enemy with all available means. At the time, they began to give us different weapons en masse, javelins and laws. You get this weapon, you check the video together with the group commander, and that's it. You go shoot, go kill. Same story with a trophy mortar, for example. We would take 2 days to figure it out and then start using it for missions.
When most of us think of Special Operations Forces, we imagine pictures of elite infantrymen, high-stakes counter-terrorism and building-clearing missions. But in the new form of positional warfare now ascendant in Ukraine, fought under skies saturated with drones on both sides of the front line, the scope for these kinds of missions has quickly narrowed. To protect their own soldiers' lives and better eliminate the enemy, Ukraine's special forces have sought to change their ways with the times.
The drones and many other technologies have completely changed the tactics of all units, from the infantry to the air force.
Підрозділами протиповітряних військ. Якраз одне з тих
One of our tasks is to be able to learn quickly
самому і дуже швидко
and pass this knowledge to our infantry units, because there are many different manufacturers now, many companies, and the enemy is not lagging behind either. As new drones emerge, new electronic warfare systems quickly follow, meaning that even those drones that worked effectively a month ago may no longer work now. You need to explain this to your units, the infantry and the commanders, because it's not a very fast process of purchase, delivery. That is a multifaceted job. But the armed forces have learned to communicate on the horizontal level.
На горизонталях
Works very well. We can have each other's backs.
Тоді, коли ми один одного можемо підстраховувати.
For example, we can share our drones with other units.
В розділі є екіпаж набагато краще підготовлений.
If we know they're better prepared.
Своїми дронами краще, коли працюють два екіпажі, ніж один.
The same goes for exchanging intelligence, fire and air support.
Підтримки і вогневої, і повітряної. І зараз
We have a lot of experience in shooting down the enemy's reconnaissance drones
розвідувальних дронів противника, тому що
because the activation of air reconnaissance is one of the signs they're preparing for an offensive.
Дії одним з ознак майбутніх наступальних дій противника це є якраз активізація повітряної розвідки, тобто ми якраз
We are among those who carry out air ambushes on their reconnaissance drones.
засідки на їх розвідувальні літаки.
This greatly slows down the enemy's preparation for offensive actions. We've started to work a lot with first-person view drones because it gives us the opportunity to win time for the preparation of our units, infantry units. We make sure that the enemy's troops simply do not physically reach our trenches, our people. Yes, we are not part of the unmanned systems forces. They are more advanced in this. We have a bit of a different approach,
підход до цих всіх речей і все одно
but still show good results.
великий результат цьому.
And for us, it's not even a secondary task.
Це наше, якби, навіть не другорядна, а третєрядний.
It's somewhere further down.
Взагалі на сьомому місці завдання.
But still, we are among the top 5 most effective military units
в п'ятірку
in striking the Russian armed forces.
Враження противника за всі збройні сили, але при цьому всьому
At the same time, compared to the unmanned systems forces, we have
піхотних бригадах
far fewer people carrying out these tasks.
систем, то в нас набагато менше людей виконують ці завдання.
If we can, at any step of any operation, use a drone instead of a person,
замінити дроном, 100%
then we do that.
ризикувати людиною, ми буде ризикувати дроном.
But in order to carry out certain operations, like capturing a person, we unfortunately do not have special drones for that and need to involve people.
In conditions where Ukraine's military is so large and diverse, where every branch has had to expand quickly while fighting a war, how do Ukraine's special forces stay special in a league of their own? For the commanders, the answer is clear.
First and foremost, for me, the main resources are the people who come to me. I focus on people who are motivated, and in general, special operations forces are a large family. If you saw us in civilian life just hanging out, you would never be able to tell who is just a regular drone operator, who is the regiment commander, the deputy commander of a unit, or the commander of the special operations forces, because we are very down to earth in how we communicate within the team. Our main goal is not quantity but quality.
I think the main motivation for those serving in special units is a desire to do more, to join the best, to test themselves. Having served in the 79th Brigade, I realized that I wanted more. I realized that I wanted to serve with the best, to be better, to improve, to reach new heights. A special operations fighter has to first of all be physically healthy, hardy and well prepared, because walking 30 kilometers fully equipped requires good health. If he is injured, let's say by a projectile and a fragment pierced into his knee, it's over for him. He will no longer be a warrior who is able to walk for 20, 30, 40, 50 kilometers. We have lost him. He also has to know topography, understand where he is, where to go. You also need to know medicine well. The infantry can be evacuated from the front line. If you work in a special purpose group 20 to 30 kilometers behind enemy lines, there is no way to evacuate you. People who are with you need to know medicine to save your life and bring you back. Don't get me started on such basic things as firearms training and tactical training. A fighter like that requires a lot of investment in his knowledge and skills. So wasting them on the front line is not an option.
Looking forward, the battlefield is only getting deadlier with every new month of Russia's war. Meanwhile, the use of technology and asymmetrical solutions only gets more crucial for gaining an upper hand over the enemy. But in this period of transformation, it's hard to argue that many units are better placed to adapt than the special forces.
Joint operations are the future. Any operation shouldn't be carried out separately by the infantry or special operations unit. They all should be carried out jointly, starting with a small assault on the trenches. You need to deceive the enemy, create some fake plans, all to save the life of every soldier, no matter what forces they're from. This is the future. It's already showing fairly good results. You also need to learn from mistakes, from real experience, because the troops who are mobilized, first get training from our partners abroad, and we need to pass on our knowledge to them very quickly so that they know how to train them.
Thank you for watching. We are able to publish videos like this for free thanks to the support of people around the world. Consider joining our community and help us keep going. Become a member of the Kyiv Independent for just $5 a month. Thank you.